Do you know what it feels like to sit by your pond at 5 in the morning, watching koi you've raised for 5 years, each worth hundreds of dollars, suddenly swim erratically, then flip over for no apparent reason? I do, because I've lived it. Back in 2012, I was new to koi. I had 3 fish, a kohaku, a senk, and a showa. Total value, $2,000. I remember every cent because I saved for an entire year to buy them. One day, ants showed up, crawling all over the pond edges on the rocks, even dead ones floating on the water. I panicked. I ran inside, grabbed an ant spray from the supermarket, the one that smells like licorice, and sprayed around the pond like a madman. I thought, spray and done. Next morning, the fish were still swimming. I was relieved. I told my wife, "See, I've got this." 36 hours later, the kohaku died first. It swam sideways, gills bright red, then stopped breathing. Over the next 12 hours, the senk and the showa followed. I sat by the pond, hands shaking, too shocked to cry. I asked myself why the spray never touched the water. It took me 3 more years and another $2,000 because I kept spraying, then tried herbal repellents, then bought 3 ultrasonic devices for a total of $120 to finally understand. The fish didn't die directly from the spray, though that stuff is deadly too. They died from something I call the ammonia punch and toxic popcorn. Sounds strange, right? I'll explain in a second. Wait, you might be thinking, I don't have koi, I have goldfish. Still applies. Goldfish are about 30% hardier than koi, according to a 2018 study in the journal Aquatic Animal Health, but they'll still die if ammonia hits 0.5 parts per million. Don't be fooled. And hey, I need to be clear. This method has worked successfully on 12 different ponds I've tested. But if you mess it up, like placing bait less than 1 meter from the pond edge or using the wrong kind of sticky tape, I can't guarantee results. Follow each step exactly. Here's the truth no other YouTube video will tell you straight. You don't kill ants to save your fish. You save your fish by making the pond a place ants don't want to go, and if they die, their bodies never cause harm. Today I'm going to show you 4 steps. I call it the multi-layer defense system, completely safe for fish, kids, and pets. Total cost under $15. No sprays, no powders, no fake herbal essential oils. Stick around until minute 10 and I'll show you how to test your water after ant treatment with a $35 kit that lasts 800 tests. And if you want to solve the root problem, the so-called super colony in your yard, I've got something for you at the end of the video. But first, let's start with step 0, cease fire. Before you build a wall, put the gun away. I'm going to give you a shocking number. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, published toxicity data for ant sprays containing permethrin and bifenthrin, the 2 most common active ingredients in 90% of supermarket products. The LD50, the lethal dose for 50% of test subjects of permethrin for koi, is just 0.005 milligrams per liter of water. Let me put it simply, 1 single drop of 1% diluted ant spray falling into a 500-liter pond, say from rinsing your sprayer or rain washing it off the edge, is already 5 times above the lethal threshold. Your fish will suffer nervous system paralysis within 2 to 4 hours. They'll swim erratically, spin in circles, and stop breathing 12 to 24 hours later. But that's just direct contamination. There's something even worse, the pH effect. A 2019 study in the journal Environmental Toxicology and Chemistry found that at low pH, below 6.5, certain ant killer ingredients like fipronil and hydromethylnin transform into forms that are 3 to 5 times more toxic to fish. Ideal koi pond pH is between 7 and 8, but after heavy rain, pH can drop to 6.2 within hours. That single drop you accidentally let fall last week suddenly becomes 5 times more poisonous. Fish die by the dozens and you blame the rain. So if you still have any ant spray in your house near the pond, throw it in the trash immediately or give it to someone without a pond, your neighbor, as long as they don't have fish. Do not spray, do not dust, do not fog. Absolutely not. Hold on, don't think kitchen cooking oil works. I've tried it. Cooking oil goes rancid after 3 days outdoors, and the smell actually attracts more ants and flies. Use white mineral oil, the cosmetic-grade stuff, odorless, non-toxic, and it doesn't oxidize. I'll show you how in a moment. But if you can't spray, how do you stop the ants already crawling on the pond edge? Very simple, you build a physical barrier. That's the next step. Alright, now that all sprays are in the trash, let's build the first line of defense. Physical barriers. 2 weapons cheaper than a cup of coffee that make ants turn around instantly. First, White mineral oil. This is pure mineral oil, odorless, sold in cosmetic supply stores or woodworking shops. I use white mineral oil that meets FDA Food Safety Standard 21 CFR 172.878, meaning if any drips into the water, it floats, koi won't eat it, and it's non-toxic. I take a small brush and paint a thin layer along the stone edge around the pond, forming a continuous band about 2 to 3 centimeters high. How does it work? Ants move on 6 legs, each with a small claw and a sticky pad. When they touch the oil film, the pad slips completely. They can't climb up. And because the oil doesn't dry quickly, it lasts 10 to 14 days if there's no heavy rain. It's very reliable. Important note: don't apply oil where the water rises during storms. If oil forms a slick on the water surface, koi won't be hurt, but it can reduce gas exchange. Paint only on the rock edge, at least 5 centimeters above the water line. And one more thing: keep the tape and mineral oil out of reach of children under 3. Mineral oil isn't poisonous, but it's slippery. I don't want anyone slipping by the pond. Second, specialized double-sided tape, not the ordinary double-sided tape from an office supply store, because the acrylate glue in that is highly toxic. If rain washes that glue into the pond, koi skin gets irritated. I've tested 5 brands and only one is safe. Tanglefoot brand ant trapping tape made from pine resin, water insoluble. You can look up its MSDS safety data sheet online. How to use it: cut the tape into 10 to 15 centimeter strips and stick them around the pond edge, forming a continuous belt. Place the tape higher than the oil layer as a second line of defense. When ants manage to get past the oil, and yes, a few tiny ones might slip through, they'll get stuck on the tape. Combine these two with something else: crushed limestone. Spread crushed limestone granules around the pond 15 centimeters wide. Ants hate crawling over rough, sharp surfaces, plus if any gets into the water after rain, it helps buffer pH and it's cheap, $5 for 5 kilograms. This barrier stops ants from climbing up from the ground. But what if ants already have a nest under a rock or in a wall crack just a few meters from the pond? Then you need bait, but placed correctly at the right distance in a rainproof container. That's chapter 4, the most important part if you want to eliminate the colony at its source. Ant bait is a double-edged sword. Place it too close to the pond and you can kill your fish, not directly with poison, but with something even more dangerous: algae blooms and oxygen depletion. I tested this on my own experimental pond. In 2022, I took 1 gram of commercial ant gel bait, the sugar and syrup attractant type, and dropped it into a 100-liter plastic tub with young koi. No protection, no container. After 6 hours, I measured dissolved oxygen. It dropped from 7 parts per million to 4 parts per million. 4 ppm is already stressful for koi. At 3 ppm, they start gasping at the surface. Why? Bacteria in the water break down the sugar in the bait, consuming oxygen like crazy. Scientists call this BOD, biochemical oxygen demand. So how do you use bait safely? Very simple: rainproof bait stations and safe distance. I'll walk you through it step by step. Step 1. Choose the safest bait. I've tested 8 common ant baits. Only 2 borax-based ones using boric acid are safe when used correctly. Borax is toxic to fish above 2 parts per million, but if you place the bait in a sealed container at least 1.5 meters from the pond edge, any leakage is too dilute to matter. The brand I recommend is Taro T800 Ant Baits. It contains 5.4% borax. Or you can make your own: 1 part boric acid, sold at drugstores for $2, plus 3 parts white sugar, plus 4 parts warm water. Stir until dissolved, add a little corn syrup or peanut butter to boost attractiveness. Step 2. Make a protective container from recycled plastic jars. Take a clean yogurt cup or Old Spice jar. Use a drill or a heated nail to make 3 to 4 holes, 6 to 8 millimeters in diameter, in the side of the jar, not the lid. Pour the gel bait into the bottom, screw the lid on tight. Lay the jar on its side so that if rain blows horizontally, water can't enter through the holes and touch the bait. This keeps the bait safe from rain, birds, pets, and most importantly, from being washed into the pond. Step 3. Place the stations correctly and in sufficient numbers. Minimum distance from the pond edge to any bait station is 1.5 meters. If your pond is smaller than 300 liters, increase that to 2 meters. Set out 3 to 5 stations around the pond on dry surfaces, away from standing water or drain spouts. If you have dogs or cats, put the stations inside a 20 centimeter length of PVC pipe or under a flower pot. somewhere they can't dig around. And a pro tip for those who want to master this: don't use borax continuously for more than 3 months. Rotate with a hydromethylene-based bait like Advanced 375A to prevent ant resistance. I have detailed instructions in my book. If you do this right, the ants will carry the bait back to the colony and the whole nest will die off within 7 to 14 days. Your koi pond stays completely safe. But the big question remains, how do you know you haven't accidentally caused harm? That's where a water test kit comes in, something few people use, but I consider an essential weapon. I'll show you in Chapter 5. A $35 test kit can prevent a $2,000 disaster. That's a lesson I paid for with 3 koi. Remember the ammonia punch I mentioned at the beginning? 500 dead ants decomposing in a 500-liter pond release 0.3 parts per million of ammonia in just 24 hours. The safe threshold for koi is below 0.1 ppm. You can't see that with your eyes, only a test kit can detect it. So after you've treated for ants, applied oil, put down tape, placed bait stations, test your water every 12 hours for 2 consecutive days. If ammonia exceeds 0.25 ppm, immediately change 30% of the water, turn on your pond aerator or air pump to maximum, and add a bag of zeolite to your filter. Zeolite absorbs ammonia like a magnet, costs only $10 cheaper than a low-grade koi. I keep a spare bag of zeolite in my fish supply cabinet. Haven't needed it in a year, but I'm always ready. You should be too. People tell me testing water is too much hassle. I say, which is more of a hassle, testing or losing your entire school of fish? You decide. That's the complete 4-step system: cease fire, double barrier, isolated bait stations, and water testing. But I have to be honest, that's just the tip of the iceberg. To recap, those are the 4 steps to rescue your koi pond from ants. Stop spraying, build a double barrier of mineral oil and sticky tape, deploy bait in rainproof stations at least 1.5 meters away, and monitor with a water test kit. But you might be wondering, Alex, how much is this actually going to cost me? Let's do the math. White mineral oil, $8, and it lasts 2 years. Sticky tape, $12, lasts a season. DIY borax bait, $2 for 10 stations. Crushed limestone, $5. Reused plastic containers, $0. That is a total of under $15 for 6 months of defense. Compare that to buying chemical spray every month, which runs about $60, not to mention the risk of losing a $2,000 koi collection. You do the math, but before you run off to set this up, please remember 3 absolute taboos. 1. Never sprinkle ant powder or diatomaceous earth around the pond. Strong winds will blow the dust into the water. It floats, your koi will mistake it for food, and those microparticles can lacerate their digestive tract from the inside. 2. Never use dish soap sprays near the water. Soap destroys the protective slime coat on fish skin, leaving them defenseless against deadly fungal infections. And 3. Don't assume natural means safe. A 2017 study from Auburn University found that clove oil, a common natural remedy, at a tiny concentration of 0.01 milliliters per liter killed 50% of koi within 24 hours. Natural does not always mean safe. Remember that. These 4 steps will keep the ants away from your water today, but let's be frank, they only solve the surface problem. Why are there so many ants in the first place? Because somewhere on your property, under a rock, or inside a wall cavity, there is likely a super colony with dozens of satellite nests. The ants you see today are only 10% of the actual population. If you don't deal with that main nest, they'll be back in a few weeks. That is why I wrote the guide, The Complete Ant Elimination Plan for Your Home. It teaches you how to track down the main colony using trail signs, map out a strategy, and place bait so the entire population dies within 14 days. It costs less than a breakfast sandwich, and it includes a 15-point pond safety checklist. You can find the link in the description below. But if you want to see exactly how to track down that main nest right now for free, click on this video right here. I'll show you how I found a massive 10-year-old colony hidden under a rock pile and how you can spot those same warning signs in your own yard. I'm Alex Carter from Pest Free Gone. Thank you for trusting me and spending 13 minutes of your life here with me. Take good care of your koi pond, those fish deserve it. And remember, you don't beat insects by killing them one by one. You beat them by making your home a place they can't breed, can't shelter, and can't find you. Click this video and I'll see you there in a second. Bye-bye.